Aloha, scooter heads. If you're interested in the electric scooter lifestyle, you've come to the right place. This is the Electric Scooter Podcast, and I am your host and benevolent overlord of all things scooting. Dagwood Streets. What an episode we've got for you today. Episode 99. Wow, we've been going strong for 2 years. Actually, more than 99 episodes because we had some special little in-betweenies that I didn't count as episode numbers. In this episode, we have from Inokim, the OG pioneer of electric scooting, Nimrod, Sapir, and Inokim's Chief Technical Officer, Allon, Gladstone. What is the relationship between hang gliding and electric scooting? Hey, stick around and you're going to find out. Also, Inokim is on the verge of releasing scooters with some crazy new technology developed there in the same building as Inokim offices in Israel. What is it? Not going to tell you. Listen, you'll find out. But I will tell you this. It will be optional if you don't want to spend the extra money on your scooter to add these high-tech items that I believe sunk the Unagi Model 11, which was never produced. And I don't see a great future for the Apollo Pro, which also laden with all kinds of high technology that, do we really need them? I don't know. Maybe you need them. I personally ride for fun and mostly off-road. I don't need a lot other than a couple wheels, good solid hydraulic brakes, good design, steering geometry, a nice finger throttle, thumb throttle, maybe under certain situations. The good news is Inokim made a very wise business decision to make these high-tech options exactly that, optional. If you don't want to spend the money, you don't have to. If you're commuting in the city and you think you need some of these high-tech options that are available on cars like Tesla, pretty soon you're going to be able to get them if you purchase an Inokim. Anyway, this is a long and very interesting episode. The interview was something I was really looking forward to, and I was not disappointed, and you won't be either. So let's get going with Allon Gladstone and Inokim's Nimrod Sapir. In the previous episode, we talked quite a bit about tires and design. Let's talk a little bit now about performance and how much fun it is to ride an Inokim scooter and why.
Allon and me were sitting about some marketing material for the future website we're working on. And we were talking about the performance of our scooter and design, and he said, but Nimrod, you never mentioned how fun it is. And on the way back home, I was riding my scooter from the train station to home, and it clicked me that he's so right about it. He's so right. Mm-hmm. The experience of riding a good engineered scooter is actually totally like surfing, skiing, skateboarding.
How about hang gliding? I was waiting for you to bring that up. That's what I wanted to hear.
Okay. That's flying. But I'm definitely don't know if you could call it extreme sports, but sports that shift your weight, shift your body. And I was, motorbiking and bicycling and skateboarding and rollerblading and all these kind of things ski. Okay, I'm not a skier, but the whole thing about surfing and skiing is that when you lean, you curve, right? And then you can lean to left and right, and you do the left and right curves.
Yes.
Now, to bring this into the product, it's a matter of engineering. I was riding these sharing scooters that are out there, and it's a totally different product. You cannot enjoy the ride because you're in a fear that you're going to fall over on the minute you leave one hand off. It's very unstable.
I always tell scooter heads, keep both of your hands on the handlebars. It's just safer.
With Inokim scooters, mainly quick 3 and light models, you can leave your hands off. Okay,
Wow.
it's not very safe. I would not recommend it, but you can. You can ride without using your hands. It's possible. It's possible to take your hands off because the scooter is very, very easy to steer and to curve when you want it to curve.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a matter of an engineering. It's a lot of trial and error on the development process. It is the angles of the wheels and the steering hinge and all these. And we do a lot of testing to every uh, product we issue in order to get this feeling as much as possible of surfing and skiing.
I ride motorcycles, motorized skateboards, and surf. So I'm used to look, ma, no hands. But on my scooters, no, not so much.
Right. So it's difficult because of the small wheels, right?
Is it the angle of the stem, the geometry that makes it difficult on a scooter to ride with no hands or one hand?
Right. Right. The angle of the stem and not only that. It's called there is a name for it in the bicycle industry, trail, and it's the geometry of many things together. It's actually a little bit of a recipe secret which I keep, but it's definitely I see other companies not giving the mind into it, and it's absolutely the difference when you go on an Inokim scooter and you go on another scooter, which you feel your safety and the fun of using it.
I don't hang glide, but it seems to me that you would have to be very focused on both safety and precision. Am I right?
Yeah, totally right. Oh, totally right. Yeah.
If you're on a vehicle and you get a flat tire, you just pull over to the side of the road. But if you're in the middle of the air, there's not a lot of room for mistakes.
Zero mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we've got our parachute, reserve parachute, but we definitely don't want to use it.
Right.
So, so, definitely. Also, the pre-flight, you're rigging your hang glider. You're rigging and de-rigging every flight, right? Because it's a pack which you're carrying on your roof racks. And then you go into the mountain, rigging it, and then you have to do a pre-flight check
Mm-hmm.
and a hang check, which if you miss on one of those, it costs your life. So it's a lot of maintenance and assurance that everything works and adjusted and rigged and
I got to believe that as an engineer and a hang glider, there have got to be things that you particularly focus on that others may not.
well, I can't put my mind in other people's head, but I guess so. I guess you're right. And you know what? If you're putting hang gliding into this session, I have to say that I took a lot from this world into the scooter world. The aluminum profile
Mm-hmm.
is straight away from aircraft aluminum that we're using in hang gliders and Dagwood. You know the stem of Inokim. shape, how the way it's shaped,
Hmm.
which is like uh, thin but thick on the front and rear side, and then but skinny on the side. This is straight from our. It's called uprights profile from a hang glider, which I almost copied one to one to the stem of the first scooter, the quick one, and um, and that's directly from there, the material and the shape. So yeah, and there is an amazing technologies in hang gliding because it needs to be light and strong. So I've adopted a lot from this world.
So the design is not just form, it's function as well.
Totally, totally. It's always, uh, mixing or putting together form and function is totally what I believe in and try to implement in my work.
One innovation I saw of yours made me smile because when I was younger and my children were younger, they wouldn't sleep in their stroller unless something was rocking them. And I saw where you hooked up an electric drill to the stroller, and as it spun around, it rocked the stroller and put the child to sleep.
Oh, I'm so surprised you found it.
Riding my scooter, riding my scooter, riding my scooter, riding. Feeling it. Can you speak a little bit about the relationship between you, the engineer and designer, and the manufacturer in China?
Okay, so that's a story. Um, we didn't talk about it, but I have been assembling my scooters in my garage. It's the place that I'm sitting right now. A little bit less fancy than now, but it was like a simple garage, totally garage under my father's house. Okay, I closed the door to have it warmer in the winter, but I did design all the parts and started to invest in molds. The molds were either in Israel or in China, and I was buying parts which are made especially for me. Okay, for at the time it was called My Way. So the parts were never shelf parts. Okay, I mean, the stamp, the hinge, nothing was off the shelf, and I had to invest in molds in order to do that. And then the parts which I have ordered had all the time issues. So, and also I was really working like a dog day and night, 24/7, working, assembling, selling, fixing, pretty much by my own. I had like 3 or 4 workers in my small company at the time, and the production was about one scooter a day. And that was also the rhythm of the selling. Okay, so it was one scooter a day, building, selling, and then later on fixing more and more scooters and learning from the problems. So anyway, to make the story short, at one stage I was so furious with the. Well, I've been keep changing my suppliers until I found these guys that were really backing me up and fixing parts which were wrongly done. Like if two holes have to match each other in order to put a screw and the holes were not on the right place, I needed to extend the hole, to change it by myself each time I was building the scooter. And they were backing me up and sending me replacement parts. But then it was really tiring, and I just offered them, "Hey guys, would you like to make some kind of partnership?" So they jumped on this opportunity, and came over to Israel. We met. They had a ride on the scooters. I took them on the. We have like in Tel Aviv, we have a section like in Venice Beach, like a sidewalk with a path of bicycles, and it's really one side you see the city, and the other side you see the sea, the Mediterranean,
Nice.
Mediterranean, really nice. So went up and down this strip, and they totally were blown off. And we made an agreement with these guys, and we're partners since then. I went to China. I spent 1 month to finish the engineering of some new parts. I have been moving with the access of a little bit more money, which they have put into business. We've been able to go into a little bit more plastic. Some of the molds, like the mud guards, were moved from vacuum forming, which is not a very good plastic quality, into a high pressure injection mold, which
Mm.
needs a higher invest of money. And since then, we're working together. They are partners. Now, there are lots of pros and cons, but these are my partners.
So your factory is in Ningbo on the eastern seaboard of China. Did you go there and visit yourself?
Oh, yeah. On the first time, I spent there 1 month together with these guys.
Wow.
Um, yeah, away from the family. There are a lot of challenges, such as the language, the food,
Hmm.
the
Oh, I love the
mentality.
food. Food's incredible.
The food is nice. After a while, like a week or two, you crave into bread. They don't eat a lot of yeast. They don't have bread there, for
Mm.
instance. When you go out and you're hungry and you really want to eat a lot, you get really frustrated because it, as an you, me as I was not born using chopsticks, so it takes you just longer than everybody, and then everybody have to wait until you finish your meal.
Well, I believe that eating slow is good for your digestion, so there's that.
I get embarrassed with everybody every time waiting for me to finish the and and my visits there were long before the corona. I used to be there quite, a few times a year.
Well, I know you can't go there now because of lockdowns, but I have a buddy who spent some time in Ningbo. He's a merchant marine, and he quite liked it. He said it was a great place with really good food.
It's not exactly Ningbo, actually. It's a suburb of Ningbo, which is called Beilun,
Oh,
even, which
Beirut.
used to be like 50 years ago, used to be a village, and it's grown so fast.
Nimrod, tell us, please, a little bit about how much of the actual scooter is manufactured there at your factory in Ningbo. I understand certain things like cables, the tires, things like that aren't going to be built from the ground up there at the factory. They're not growing rubber trees for the tires and all that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
All the design is ours, okay? The design is mine, and the team of the engineers which are working there. There's an R&D team in China, and so we all design. I mean, I designed basic concept and deliver the 3D files, and they bring it to production, to engineering, to prototyping. The guys over there, and well, all the aluminum and plastic parts are totally our design and manufacturing. So we produce molds for all these. Each scooter holds maybe 30 to 50 molds. So you can imagine it's a lot of work, and of course the cables, but I think only the cables and maybe the brake handles, and maybe the discs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the tires
Sure.
are manufactured, are shelf parts, but all the rest, it's not made in our factory, but it is made with our molds. So we have molds, and then we ship the parts, the covers of the motor into the motor supplier, and he assembled the motor with our shape, our rim, our mold, and this goes to any other supplier which provide us parts. And so it's like we have a chain of suppliers with our molds all over, which means our designs. We collect them and then we assemble. But yeah, it's all our designs. Nothing you can find off the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the parts we even write a little, tag it by Inokim. We mark them as Inokim parts, and they're all original.
Does Inokim have any new models coming out? Anything tippy top secret squirrel that you want to reveal on this episode?
Well, of course I do. Naturally I do.
But you don't want to talk about it. Maybe a hover scooter?
That's it. It was coming up. Well, it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly.
How about amphibious?
Sure.
You can from the beach. You can just go straight into the water and keep going.
I think there's a long way to do. I tell you what. When I first thought about the electric scooter, I definitely thought it as a pocket vehicle. Okay, I thought about it as a last mile solution, something which you get off your car, and you can drive less, and use this pocket vehicle as a magical, open it up, unfold it, and ride it, totally like a tool.
And I know there are a lot of scooter heads out there who use their scooters completely as tools, but for me, all about the fun.
Wow. So that is it. My idea was to reduce the cars, okay? Reduce the car consumption and let you drive your scooter instead of the car, but combining it with the car. So I always thought small and lightweight. So talking about the future, I would like to reduce the weight as much as possible, not by using fiber carbon, because it's the trade-off is too much.
The
expense, exact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but thinking how we can reduce weight in every part, how we can make it more accessible to the user. That's my goal. And I tell you what, you were asking before about performance. You said no. The performance. You said if you look at the other scooters, it's Xiaomi on others, and you look at the Inokim, and on the paper,
the specs look the same.
The specs look the same.
Or
right.
Sometimes a cheaper scooter will have better specs.
Well, first of all, we found out that not always the specs which they provide are the real specs they actually sell. This is
especially when it comes
to
range.
Exactly. We try to, because we had been burned before, so we try to be more accurate with the real numbers. So sometimes it sounds less, and maybe it's not appealing. But I tell you something else more important. You can get any scooter into any speed you want. Okay. Our scooters can go 100 kilometers. We can ride 50 miles per hour and 60 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the problem. We can do it. But it's a very gentle trade-off of being attractive and safe.
Yes.
I really, really don't want anybody to get hurt on our scooters.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the thing with maybe not in America, but in Europe and many other places of regulations. So the speed is usually limited. It is, let's say that it is always limited, because we can get almost any power and almost any speed we want. But this is not the issue. We want to provide a safe tool. You're using it for fun and for leisure, but
right. 54 miles an hour is the fastest I've gone on a scooter.
Wow, man, that's scary. It's scary. I have fallen a few times, and it's really dangerous.
Yeah.
So just imagine a small failure, even a flat tire, suddenly, and you're hurt and badly. And you have a lot of responsibility there. A big responsibility. You know, Dagwood, I remember the first time that it clicked to me that I'm actually working on a vehicle which people are driving on and going on roads that may get hurt, wounded, or even die. So that's why I'm not a fan of high speed. And I really see Inokim scooter as a way to commute, not only. I mean, it's nice that you use it for leisure. That means that you really like it.
Yes.
But can you imagine having this fun when you're going to work or commute?
No can hear? Get beer in your ear? Try listen. Electric Scooter Podcast, brah. Chief Technical Officer, brother Allon Gladstone. Where you stay, brah?
Yeah, well, as a chief technical officer or CTO, which is really it's innovation.
All right, I forgot about that.
We
Sorry, Allon. It's good to you here. Sorry.
yeah, we're actually currently testing a it's a collision and blind spot warning system. So think of we're trying to we're working with a company that developed it, and it's if you think about it, it's like what you see now in the automobile industry, where you have these radars or lidars where they warn when another vehicle is either you're going to hit it or it's going to hit you. So this is for scooters specifically, and it currently we're testing a model that gives you 180 degrees coverage, so it's basically your back and your sides. And what it does is you have a set of speakers on the handlebars and LED strips that light up yellow if there's a car in your blind spot, either left or right, or they both light up red if a car is riding too close to you and potentially can hit you. And I must say that the system works quite well. We're working with a company that we have some history with, and they're in our building. They also they're working on it for two-wheelers, like for motorcycle riders. But for us, they're doing something that won't require a helmet because regulation. A lot of people ride without helmets, their scooters here, and actually around the world, even though some places you have to put a helmet on. Unlike motorcycles, where I think, except maybe for Florida, you're supposed to put a helmet by law. You're supposed to wear a helmet.
Hawaii, there's a few states where you don't have to wear a helmet in America.
Yeah.
I can see that type of innovation working in select type areas like big open roads where a car could come up behind you and you wouldn't expect it. But if you're weaving in and out of big city traffic, that is going to be going off the whole time.
No,
you're
actually,
riding.
so that's the thing. The secret sauce that this company has, their algorithm, is really what they call the false positives, right? So that if you're riding with a car that's on the same speed, then you're not going to get a warning. But as the car starts to approach you and potentially can collide with you, that's when you'll get a warning. And I must say that once I started riding it, and we were putting it on our flagship models, not on our smaller models that really are meant for the last mile. This is for our any mile models, like the Ox, and it reminded me from the first time that I got the anti-collision system in my car. There's suddenly you're kind of I won't say the word addicted, but you're used to having this sound warn you that you kind of let you change your driving paradigm. So here now I know that if I'm going to veer left without looking to see if there's a car in my blind spot, I know that there's not going to be a car there because I did not get a warning. So it's something that we're going to announce, and we brought the price down significantly. So we're going to start. We're going to announce it hopefully next month, and start shipping small quantities in January. We're going to have a a nice new color for the model, but it's going to be on one of our current lineup. But that's the type of innovation we want to bring. I come from the IoT world, the Internet of Things. And just to touch upon something that a discussion that was done before on the tube versus tubeless tires, one of the innovations we want to bring, and it's available and we can do it today, is pressure sensors. Just like when you walk into your car and you start, and it just lets you know the tire pressure in real time. And like you said, in Vegas, it goes from hot to cold.
That is something I could really use. But I would request as a consumer, especially if you're talking about high dollar stuff like the collision avoidance or whatever, I myself as a consumer would prefer it be an option. The Unagi Model 11 was going to come out loaded with all this kind of stuff, and Apollo has one too. I can't think of the name right now. Apollo Pro, I think maybe it is.
Yes.
But like the Unagi 11 actually never came out. I think it was just too laden with stuff that were not options. You know, when you buy a car, you have an option. So there might be someone who wants to buy that Inokim scooter, but a couple options that they don't really need because of where they live, or they don't really want. They don't want to go above that price point. It's one of the things it makes me think of is keys. You know, I'm a very anti-key guy. The scooters that come with keys, I would always request, please just lower the price a little bit and give it to me with no key.
Right.
So yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We are going to have this as an option. And it's not just going to be the system. We wanted to make it like also that because of we'll provide an anti-theft insurance component, which will be included in the price, so you don't have to pay it monthly. So because this system not only does collision but also has a built-in locator, we feel that we can provide insurance. So we have an insurance company on board. Of course, we're trying this out, but this will really be sold to people who are. This is their car replacement scooter, and it gives another layer of safety, and there'll be a feature built in to the price, and it's all optional.
You heard it here first, scooter heads. Breaking news from Inokim. Some exciting options. Keyword options on future Inokim scooters. Collision avoidance. Hey, if you're in the city dodging cars, like let's say Electric Scooter Academy's Yogi Steve, he might have avoided an accident if he had some of these options. For me, I'm mostly off-road, but I love that it is optional. That's just a wise business decision. And there they go. Two very impressive folks. Chief Technical Officer for Inokim Scooters, Allon Gladstone, and the OG pioneer of electric scooting, Nimrod Sapir. I hope you enjoyed that interview half as much as I did. It was fantastic. A lot of breaking news. It had a little bit of everything. Excitement, hang gliding, new features coming out. Stay tuned next week for the 100th episode of the Electric Scooter Podcast. And until next time, keep the shiny side up and the dirty side down.